Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, aka Goody, and with me is my old man, aka the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. The number 2 seed, Knicks win their last 5, get up to the 2 seed. They win a 1-point game against Chicago in the finale to lock down the 2nd seed, home court advantage up to the Eastern Conference Finals. They didn't, like some other teams, try to lose to get into a certain seed. And now we just found out that in the first round, starting on Saturday, they will be playing the Philadelphia 76ers. Talk to me, big guy. We'll get into the matchup a little bit later, but tell me how you feel about how we finished up the season and that last game against Chicago.
Oh, obviously, I feel great about how we finished up the season. I like the way we play ball, man. I like the fact that we don't take any shorts. We're going to come at you for 48 minutes every time, and I don't like this whole gaming with the system. Whoever's in front of us, we play. That's how you play sport, and you can't try to duck and dodge people and do all this kind of foolishness. I think ultimately that doesn't work, and that's not the culture that we have and are building here in New York.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Tom Thibodeau at the helm and Jalen Brunson leading the charge, they don't even understand this concept of like, let's lose this game for any reason. They're out there and they're trying to get it done. All the Knicks fans who have some apprehension and felt like we did the wrong thing because now we have to play either Philly or Miami, which we now know it's going to be Philly. Go be Nets fans. I don't even want you guys to be Knicks fans anymore because that's just not how you do things. Like you said, when you play sports, you get out there, as our guy Herm Edwards says, you play to win the game. So at the end of the day, I want my guys to always not only try to win, but there's so much on the line. We have one of the best, if not, we have the best home crowd in arguably sports. Why wouldn't you want to have as many games as you possibly can on that home floor? And I think also, as I've said all season, even in some of the games that we've played against inferior talent, where we end up having the game be a little closer than we would like, but we end up closing out at the end. I think that every time you close one of those games out, you gain a little bit. You gain a little bit of that winning experience and understanding how to close out and win the game late, and a little bit of confidence in the fact that you know that you can do it. Brunson was unbelievable. 40 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, doing it all. He continues to just wow and amaze. He absolutely will get MVP votes. I've already stated that I think he should be the MVP, though I think that's very unlikely that will happen. I think there's a chance he might have just played himself into first team All-NBA. He's a lock at the very least for second team All-NBA. And another thing, quick note on Brunson, something that I think is that we recently found out the rosters for Team USA. And he was snubbed. A lot of people say Halliburton was the guy who made it in front of him. And Brunson's the type of guy that, he takes note of things like that. Clearly he does. He's the type of player, he's talked certain things about where he was drafted, all of the chatter about the Knicks when they got him. He takes note of things like that. And I love it because I think that's a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. And I saw him the other day in, his media availability. And my guy had on the black hoodie with the black Scully, just full, Brunson, he's just in full like Scully, hoodie mode. Like, let's go. Like, and I love that. I think he's ready. He was very, very, succinct and straightforward about his answers. He talked about last season, what happened, where the Knicks got, what can you do to make that better? And he said, win. That's how you make it better. Is if we go out there and we win it. Love his mindset, and like you said, we don't take no shorts.
No, I don't. I think Brunson's obviously he's the leader of the team, and he exudes the right attitude and the right aura. So I love that. I think we have a very good shot this postseason to make some real noise. But of course, you got to go out there and do it. Every night it's going to be a challenge. Like I said, these teams are only 4 games, 3, 4 games behind us. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we have a 10-game advantage on them. These are very good teams. So well, Philly is who it is, but we're gonna have to bring our A game, and I think we will. I just feel like Tibbs has the team in the right mindset, and we finished the season the right way. And like I said, whoever's in front of us is who we have to play, and win or lose, that's what competition's all about.
So before we get into the matchup against Philly, the other, as we've both said, whoever we get, we get. I like the idea of Miami going and beating up on Boston, possibly. If they are able to advance and get in there, I like them beating up on Boston. Porzingis, you better be real careful out there with Bam Adebayo and your ankles, and because this guy, he's taking people out whenever he possibly can. I saw a compilation of dirty plays by Bam Adebayo. I mean, like 4 of them were against the Knicks, but I mean, just all across the league. It's egregious. I don't understand. We talk about Draymond sometimes, and yes, Draymond, deserves to get punched in the face. Somebody needs to punch Bam in the face, yo. This dude is out here doing some wild shit sometimes. But yeah, and then playing that tough. Remember, they've had a tough. They got bounced by Miami last year. They always have a tough time with them. So let them have a hard-fought series and have to deal with that, and we end up having to deal with whoever comes out of it down the road. And I personally think that we match up really well against Philly. We have multiple bigs to be able to throw at Embiid, and we've played them extremely well all season. When they were at full strength and we were at full strength right after we got OG, we totally dog walked them. And so I'm going into this feeling confident and really interested to see how we're going to make adjustments when we get into a playoff series and how they're going to try to attack Brunson.
I'm cautiously confident. I do think that listen, they've got a great coach in Nick Nurse. I do worry about their defense against Embiid because of guys like Oubre and Batum. Their defense against Brunson because of Oubre and Batum. Those guys are very long and can, wreak havoc. I did feel like I have not watched their games recently, but I did feel like what I saw tonight from Embiid. Listen, he may refresh a little more by Saturday, but he did not look himself to me. Definitely not in the first half. Second half, much better, but as a whole, he looked to be laboring. Okay, and he's definitely settling outside more. If you can get him missing a couple outside shots, that will definitely hamper him because that's where he started coming alive in the second half when he hit a couple threes, and that made the difference. But besides that, like I say, I think Oubre and what's his name and Batum are very good role players. I was surprised. I thought Miami was going to beat them, frankly, after in the first half. I thought like they had them, but Miami just has trouble scoring sometimes. I mean, I mean, we have trouble scoring sometimes, but Miami's worse than us with that. I mean, wow. Sometimes it's just tough for them. And like you say, and now tonight, I don't know if you saw, but Butler's hurt. Butler limped off the court.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yes, he got a knee injury tonight. He played the rest of the game, but after the game, he was noticeably limping. And at the end of the game, everything went through Hero. Um, and Hero made some big shots at the end, but too little, too late. But yeah, it was a good game, good hard fought, contest.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a football practice, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch, but I was following the score. I did see that Miami was up, and then obviously Philly continued to chip away, and they outscored the Heat by 10 points in the fourth quarter. I got to throw this in as a quick side. It's actually not Knicks, but you said he limped off the floor. You know who they say walked out, without a limp last night of the game?
Who?
Zion.
Zion.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they also said. I thought they also said that he's going to miss the next game.
He's going to miss the next game. That's for sure now.
I heard that today. That he's out for the next game.
Yeah,
They did a MRI or whatever, and he's got a strain, some sort of strain.
That's unfortunate, man, because
Yeah, no, it's very.
he had yeah, he is out. He is out. He had 40 points. He seems like he's finally like in really good shape. He's finally doing that, big time, superstar type stuff. He's getting chased down blocks on LeBron, and then he comes up with the hammy. But I heard Bart Scott say earlier, and I think there's something to it. He's like, when all of a sudden you're trying to go harder than you ever have before, that's when you pull hammies.
You know what I mean?
Listen, there's lots of guys who are in great shape who pull a hammy. I mean, that happens.
Hammies happen, but they usually happen this late in the season. I don't know. I don't know.
That's true. It is usually a more like early in the season thing. And then I
Right.
mean, he and Alan Hahn, specifically Alan Hahn, was even somewhat intimating that like, you got to wrap that thing up and get back in the game. There's 3 minutes left. It's a tie game, but listen, these guys are world class athletes. I don't think too many of them are shrinking from the moment if they can't if they have the
Yeah,
ability not to. And his game is
yeah.
so predicated on his athletic ability that it's not like all of a sudden he's going to just be sticking jumpers because his hammy is hurt, but maybe just being out on the floor, he could still possibly be,
But as big a guy as he is, Nick, he's got to develop a jump shot.
sure,
He's got to be Larry Johnson,
right,
going forward. Okay, he can't. He's not going to be able to do the things that he does right now 5 years from now.
right.
There's no chance. Probably 3 years. The clock's ticking. Okay, and I mean seriously. I mean he's just too big a guy to keep doing that. Even Charles Barkley, same thing. Developed a jump shot, and it made a huge difference for the longevity and the quality on the back half of his career. And same with Grandmama. I mean, come on, his back went out. He couldn't even do it anymore. Wasn't even that he was heavy. He just couldn't do it anymore, and he developed a hell of a jump shot. If you remember, come
Oh,
on
I
now.
remember.
We remember. That's
Yeah.
LJ, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the matchup with Philly, um, overall, I feel like, pretty confident. But like you said, Oubre makes me very nervous. He's very physical, especially with the way that they're letting him play
Yes.
these days. He's extremely physical.
Yes.
And, he's probably going to, at least initially, draw the assignment against Brunson. And then, Batum is a guy who's solid. He does what he's supposed to do. He's in the right spots. He can shoot. Though I think that our wings are much more active and athletic than him. So, I think like if Batum's guarding a guy like Josh Hart's going to get a lot of offensive rebounds. And when he grabs the defensive rebound, he's going to be able to push the ball up the floor. We need that from him. We need him to be aggressive. He doesn't necessarily need to be firing up a bunch of threes. I would like to see him shoot it when he's open. But at the same time, whatever the case may be, he can't have these games where, he's 3 of 6 with 8 points. Like that, we cannot have that from you. We need you to give us more on the offensive end. He's going to give it to you on the glass. He's going to get out in transition and, be a good and a solid and a willing passer. But we do need to get some buckets from him as well. And then Nicki Minaj thighs, Kyle Lowry. He
Right.
always
He's a
makes me nervous.
problem.
That guy.
He's always a problem.
Makes me nervous. He's so crafty. That guy seems like he's always coming up with a huge shot in a really, really critical moment. Plays good defense, an offensive rebound here or there. Kyle Lowry makes me very nervous, and he's also a guy that just like I just don't like him.
Also, too, the not just Kyle Lowry, but this guy Highsmith too, off the bench for them, very good.
Active.
Listen. They have good players, and they play the right way. So it's going to be a battle, man. It's not going to be easy. But I have to tell you, like I said, cautiously confident. I'm going Knicks in 6.
Yeah, I actually like Knicks in 5, just because of how we looked against them when we were both at full strength in the regular season. You got a hobbled Embiid, and we got Mitch. I don't even know if Mitch played in that game that we blew them out big time. So I just think that we have so much to throw at him. I think the entire playoffs, what it's going to come down to is we know what Brunson's going to give you. Between Ragu, Bogey, and OG, you need one of those guys to score 20. And you need, another one of them to score 15 plus or so. And if we can get that along with what we know that we're going to get from Brunson, then I feel really good. And it's going to come down to it's a make or miss league. It's going to come down to how we shoot the three. We gotta, we gotta be we gotta be somewhat efficient, and we have to have a decent modern day NBA volume of threes. Really interested to see how Deuce plays because Deuce, I'm just hoping we don't get a quickly of last year with this year of Deuce. And
Right.
I think that Deuce seems like he's got a little bit more mental fortitude than that. And I think
I
he's
agree.
going to be all right. And I think that the way he plays defense, what it does is it allows him to get himself into a rhythm within the game, even if he's not necessarily making shots. And one thing I love about him is he will shoot a shot, miss it, and that ball gets kicked back out to him. He takes it, he right back again, fires it back up. You can see that new level of confidence from him this season, especially. It's continued to grow as the year has gone on, where back in years past, sometimes he shied away from wanting to take that shot.
I think Deuce is going to be fine. I think he's going to do great. I do worry about, the occasional game in a series where Brunson doesn't have a big game. He has 21 points because he's 5 of 17.
Right. Oh, it's going to happen at least one time
Right.
throughout the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Right. Or I think maybe, one time throughout the playoffs.
At least once. Yeah.
So we need to be able to pick up the slack on a bad night like that. I also feel like, up front, we have to, like you said, we got to tire out Embiid. We have to run up and down the court. We got to bump him the whole time. Listen, Brunson's going to get banged around, man. What I saw tonight, we've seen that coming in the second half of the season. Clearly, the league has decided that they wanted to make a more physical brand of basketball, and I'm not mad at them. Okay, as long as it's called even across the board. Now in the playoffs, I liked what I saw tonight. I mean, it's a little more physical even than that. I thought it leveled up tonight. There's no doubt about it. I have no problem with that. You got to play through it. You got to play through the physicality. I think we have the guys to do it. I don't want to spend a lot of time and energy. Let the coach complain. Brunson can't get too caught up in that because it's going to happen. But I'm telling you, tonight I was blown away by some of the non-calls tonight. I was like, wow, But hey, man, this is playoff basketball. Let's go, and we got to give it right back the same way we get it, and just, I think that works to our advantage ultimately if we play that way and we play strong and we play with force, and just play in a firm manner like I've seen us play most of the season, frankly. So I think we could do it. We don't have to shoot great threes. I'd like us to shoot great threes, of course. But even if we're not going to the hole, drawing fouls, getting to the line, that keeps us in any game. So, let's just keep doing what we do right.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said to you before, I think that the Knicks have a chance to win a game if they don't shoot great from three, as long as they shoot okay. When they shoot terribly from three, then I think that they're in trouble. I just think in the modern day NBA, it's hard to win a game if you're not, hitting threes to a certain extent. And the one thing about Brunson, there's other players like Julius is a good example. I've seen Julius sometimes where when he is not getting calls and he starts, getting into it with the refs, where I feel like it affects his game negatively. I don't think it ever affects Brunson's game negatively. And I think that some of that is it's literally he's politicking. You know what I mean? Where he's like saying like where he's doing it because he's annoyed, but also doing it with a purpose of, hey, I'm coming at you over and over again. You see that guys do that all the time in the NBA where they come at a ref and the very next play they try to go right through and go and create some more content to make that ref, put the pressure on them to make the call. But I think that one thing I see about Brunson is that Brunson sometimes embellishes to be able to get the call. That's after he's tried to finish. He always tries to finish through the play and get the finish. He doesn't just throw up something wild trying to get a foul call, and now it's not even a close shot. Everything he throws up with the intention of making. So that's, I'm not too worried about that with him. And, I'm not too worried about the refs in general because I feel like we've had a chance to adjust to the way the games are being called. I just really hope that, we don't see some huge gaps in the regular season. I hope we don't see that across the league against anybody, but I specifically hope we don't see that against the Knicks. Yeah, man, just really looking forward and excited about the playoffs that are about to start. We got it coming up here in just a couple days, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Hey, let's go Knicks. And I don't know, but this is episode number 33.
You know,
I kind of feel like
my
that's some
man,
good juju right
my
there.
man,
You know,
Ewing.
greatest
Let's
Knicks of
go.
all
Let's
time
go.
up in the rafters. But yeah, man. So this Saturday we have the game, and then I think the next game is Monday.
Monday. Yeah, I believe it's
Next
Monday.
game is Monday, and then we'll be going to Philly. You know, there's going to be a lot of Knicks fans in
Oh yeah.
Philly as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And if we get it going, and Jalen gets to the line and the MVP chance, that's gonna piss off some Philly fans, but it's gonna be an exciting time, man. Wow, I cannot wait. This is gonna be a really exciting series. Obviously, hopefully we come out on top. I believe we will. I believe in our team. But it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yo, if you're a Knicks fan and you're going down there to Philly, you might want to, you know, you might want to try to sneak in a shank or a taser or
Yeah,
something.
exactly, man. Because you need to armor up. Could be, things could be coming at you, projectiles and such.
Yeah, you might have to throw in a Teflon if you're gonna go down there, man.
Yeah,
You know
it's
how
not a
them
bad
Philly
idea.
cats get down. Yeah, they're always very, very slow. But the other thing about Philly is, and sometimes New York gets this bad rap, but I think it's even more prominent in Philly, is that they, if things start going bad with their squad, they will get on them. You know what I mean? They will
Oh yeah,
start to boo
they
and
were
get
booing them
after
tonight in the first half. They were booing them tonight in the first half. Are you kidding me? They walked out the
them.
room. What?
Booing them in the first half of a playing game.
Fact,
Come on.
fact. Yes, when they were down 13, they were catching boos.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, listen, Philly is
Philly.
not your typical play-in team. They're a team that probably would have been fighting with us in that space between the second and fifth spot if
Oh yeah.
Joel Embiid had not gotten injured. One thing that I do like to see is that Bogey, his confidence is coming. He's figuring out the spots he's supposed to be in.
Although he didn't.
He's letting it go.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. You're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else. No, that's
Uh,
no.
Yeah, no, Bogey's looking good. And we're gonna have to, like, the scenario you just talked about. Hey, so Brunson ends up not having such a great game. He has one of those games where he doesn't shoot so well. Well, in that game, that's exactly when we're gonna need like a guy like Ragu to have a game where he's 7 of 12 from three. You know
Right.
what I'm
And
saying?
Bogey.
Like, yeah, and Bogey, I don't listen. Bogey will have to be real hot and be playing a little bit of defense to be on the floor not long enough to shoot 12 threes. That's the thing. Is he'll
Oh
get
no.
out there and he'll be doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, somebody just straight blows past him and lays it up, and then he's sitting down clapping with the warm up on.
Right. No, no.
Tim's
No,
ain't
he's
gonna see that too many times without being like, okay, you come on.
zero chance Bogey's gonna be out there long enough to shoot 12 threes. Okay.
Right.
There's no way that's happening. But listen, we need big games from Bogey. I definitely think Bogey will give us some good minutes in this postseason and in this particular series, no doubt about it. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Burks will get off the bench. Uh, I'm sorry to say,
Absolutely
but
not.
Shake Milton is a forgotten man. I mean, I don't even know why we got that guy. Who?
What do you mean? I mean, we got him so he's an end of the bench guy. He's not. Listen, if
But I
Shake
thought he was going
Milton,
to get some run, Nate.
I thought he might get some run, but listen, he's behind. He's the third in the depth chart at his position. He's third. Not too
Yeah,
many guys that are
no
third in the
doubt.
depth chart
No doubt, no doubt.
are getting are getting a lot of run. And listen, if Shake Milton is in your rotation and you're a playoff team, you got a problem. It's that your team ain't that good. He's not a
Yeah.
rotation player. Like a guy like Jericho Sims, he might not touch the floor all postseason.
No.
Precious
No.
ain't going to have a ton of minutes unless things are really going his way. It's going to be almost exclusively Hartenstein and Mitch. And
Hey,
I'm totally okay with that. And Hartenstein,
I have a big prediction here, okay, about Embiid. If Embiid keeps the braids in his hair, the cornrow, we got him. Got him. Tell it. I've seen
well,
it.
he's
I've seen it.
what's wrong? What's wrong?
I
What's wrong
can
with the
feel it.
cornrows? What's wrong with him?
No. I can feel it. Embiid's a different dude with the hair out. With the
Yeah.
cornrows, he's a little more press. We got him. Keep the cornrows in and have the double hairline. We got him.
Your man Hartenstein. I think that first of all, he makes Embiid come away from the basket, because if you don't guard him as a passer and you
Right.
allow him to, just stand there and pick you off. That's exactly what he's going to do. It's going to end up in a layup most times. And then Mitchell Robinson always plays well against Embiid. Obviously he's a long rangy defender. He can move his feet. And the fact that we have both of them means that they can both play aggressive, because where it's not like, if you get in foul trouble, we're finished. And then we still got Precious, coming in after those two. And because of the fact that he will guard Embiid out to the three-point line. The only issue that Mitch has with him sometimes is that he's sometimes a little bit reluctant to guard outside on the perimeter, whereas Hartenstein will get up on you out there. Obviously, Precious will. And I'm really looking to see I'm excited for Hartenstein to get out there in front of the world, show everybody how good he is, because he's a really skilled, really, just solid ball player. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do. And like I said before, with all those different guys that we have to throw at Embiid, especially with him being a little bit gimpy, yeah, man. Yeah, Knicks in 5.
I think Hartenstein's going to do his thing. I really do against Embiid. I think he's going to stay active. Listen, there are going to be times, I'm telling you right now, that Tibbs has got the staff sending, pressing send right now to Hartenstein and Mitch, like a mashup video of Embiid tonight, and saying, listen, every time we get a rebound off a miss, you run straight down the middle of the floor to the rim. Just run straight down there. And if you don't get it, just curl back out. But listen, there's going to be so many dunks available because Embiid cannot stay with them, dude. This guy looked like he had on the weight vest tonight, Nick. Okay? Come on. the guy is slowed, man. And I mean, that's an issue, man. And they showed him before the game. He was standing, leaning over before the game, tugging on his shorts, like you do on the foul, like you do when you're on the lane waiting for a foul shot.
Right.
It just, and listen, I don't wish the man ill. I obviously wish the man to be well and all that. But hey, this is what it is, man. We've all dealt with injuries. Clearly, we have. So I don't have sympathy for any other team's injuries. It just is what it is, So we'll see.
We'll see. Saturday, it all starts, and we'll, depending on how these two next games go, we'll come on here real happy or quite nervous next week.
Yeah, really. Right.
Well, speaking of turnarounds, we got our New York Mets. They started off the season 0-5. Since then, they've won 10 of 13. They now sit at 10-8, 2 games over 500. Their last 3 series have all been against quality opponents, and today they swept the Tigers, who came in at 11-4 just before the series. They took 3 straight. The offense has woken up. The starting pitching has been good. The bullpen has been great. And all of a sudden, I think we might have something here. I think we might have a chance to be a team that at least is fighting for a playoff spot at the end. And as we know in baseball, once you get in, anything can happen. Talk to me, big guy. How you feeling about our Mets?
I'm happy with what I've seen. I'm optimistic, but I really need to see some more before I get too optimistic. I mean, baseball's so fickle. You could lose the next 5 games, and now the sky is falling. It's so nerve-wracking at times. But I do like what I've seen. This road trip now in out west is going to be a tough one. Okay, we're going to now. I feel like we go. What are we playing? 3-3 with the Dodgers and the Giants.
Yep.
If we win 4 out of 6 there, I feel really confident. The pitching has looked good. I love Manaea, Severino. What's the other fellow's name?
Quintana, Budo.
Budo. My goodness.
Budo. We might have something there.
Where did this guy come from? I don't know this guy. But anyway,
he pitched for us last year.
There's a couple guys on the team I never heard of before. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, this guy Tyrone Taylor. I was like, Tyrod Taylor, doesn't he play for the Jets? But yeah, he's coming through in the clutch. Love Harrison Bader, what he showed us. Harrison Bader has been great.
I was talking to my buddies. Yeah, I was talking about
play.
He's fantastic in the field. Hit another 2-run homer today. He's been having some clutch plays. All
great
of the hustle,
energy.
Great energy. And yeah, I was talking to my friends who are Yankees fans today and saying how I love this guy Bader, and they were saying, yeah, when he's on the field, he's great. Like the energy it's palpable.
Is that it? He's an injury-prone guy.
He's been a little bit nicked up, and I guess he definitely was during his stint with the Yankees.
Okay. Okay. Well, seems like there's a lot of that over at the Yankees, though. I mean, between him and your man Giancarlo, the muscle.
Giancarlo, he's wound too tight. That guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The guy is just one huge muscle, and it's like, come on, man. This guy, he's the ultimate overstretched rubber band that's about to blow.
Well, did you hear Ozzie Guillen's quote about that recently? As far as like he says, listen, back when I was a player, I watch a guy and he eats 3 cheeseburgers and drinks a case of beer, and he never gets hurt all season. He does that every night. And he said, you can't pull fat. That's what he said. He said, you can't pull fat.
I love Ozzie Guillen.
But we've heard Keith say something similar where he's like, listen, back in the day, he's like, nobody ever did sit-ups and nobody ever had an oblique injury ever.
Nobody even had an oblique.
Obliques, right?
It didn't exist. I never heard of an oblique till about 10 years ago. Come on. I'm serious, Nick. Just the lane, all the fitness and whatnot. Nobody used the word oblique to describe a body part until 2014. So.
No, I mean, listen, there's definitely something to that for sure. And, I do think there's something when it comes to athletes where, especially when you're playing football, you want to make your body, hard and strong to a certain extent, pause. But also, I think that when it comes to some of the sports like basketball and football, baseball, you got to stay fluid, man. And, I saw recently, like Brunson barely lifts weights. Does a lot of like plyometric type shit, and is always doing mad yoga and whatnot. So like I think that there's something to that, because you see Brunson sometimes he steps in somebody's foot and he turns his ankle and it looks like he's gonna be his ankle's over. Like, oh my god, like there's gonna be ligaments rolling around on the garden floor. Yet he walks it off and he stays in the game. You know what I mean? So he's clearly very pliable. And I think that, as we learn more and more, obviously you got to have some strength, but all these muscle bound cats, man, there's too much, you look how muscle bound Zion is. He's got a hammy, sometimes you gotta chill on that. You gotta be, and even a guy like LeBron, you've seen as he's gotten older, he's thinned out.
Oh, you got to trim down as you get older, Nick, of course. Or you can't carry all that weight. You can't always be like, Bolo. I mean, come on, man. It doesn't work that way. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you. You can't always, always looking at me, Bronco Nagurski. It comes back to you.
Our guy Brett Beatty, he seems like he's arrived. He's making slick plays.
Yeah, but he just had a hammy and he don't lift weight.
No. It was just a little bit of hamstring tightness. They don't think it. Yeah, they don't think it's going to be a IL stint. And Good. I love the way that he's fielding. He spent some time with Lindor. He's got a little hop that he does before the play that allows him to get better timing. He says whatever the fuck he's doing, it's working. He's hitting over 300. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Beatty. He's not just hitting over 300, but he's hitting to all fields and he's getting clutch hits in big spots. So I love that about him. We need him to be an impact player. He can't last year he was looking a little Ike Davis-y, and
that's the guy I was just thinking about. And by the way, I mean, maybe what is Ike Davis playing in Japan?
Ike Davis.
Anyway,
what is Ike Davis doing with his life right now? He might
Davis is a baseball coach at Sewanee High.
Exactly. That's probably exactly what he's doing right now.
That's exactly what's happening. Come on.
Yeah. Ike Davis.
Good for him. I mean, but that's what's happening. No, this guy Beatty, he scared me at first, me thinking that he was going to go all the Ike Davis route, but he seems like he's got it figured now. Fingers crossed. It seems like he's moving in the right direction.
Well, like you said, with baseball, you friggin' never know with these guys, man. Ike Davis was the man. He was the man at one point. We thought he was the first baseman of the future. We were like,
he was.
My guy. Ike Davis last played in 2017 for Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic. But
He's Jewish.
it seems so.
Uh, Sorry to say, but that's Fugazi.
What, you don't
Uh,
think he's actually Jewish?
I mean, he got down with them somehow. You know how that is, Nick. Your grandfather or something was from Israel, so you get down like some of these guys get down on the Italian team. Come on,
Yeah, I don't know though. I
how it
don't know
works.
if Israel. I think it's supposed to be like your mom has to be Jewish. Who
You ain't never
knows?
been to no synagogue. No, I don't know. Maybe he's Jewish. I mean, that's absolutely possible. I don't
Yeah, who knows? Davis is one of those names that you ever know where that came from.
know. Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
also could be his mom's side. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, man, it seems like we're starting to get going. I mean, Lindor, he hasn't gotten it going yet.
Okay, go. He'll
Hey,
be all right.
bravo Mets fans for supporting him throughout this
I like that.
homestand and
I like that.
trying to give him some good energy. Our guy Pete was National League Player of the Week last week, just
Let's
absolutely
go.
crushing it.
Let's
Clutch
go.
home runs, lots of big hits. Today he scored. He had a crazy slide home,
Yes.
score today on a
Love that.
close play. I love that. Love that. And
Mhm.
Bader, that play that Bader had where he scored,
Oh man.
to tie the game a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Awesome play. He's like he said, like that guy, man. It's easy to see how he could almost change a clubhouse, and especially when
Mhm.
he's playing well. Because when he's hitting the ball like he is right now, we know what he's going to do in the field. He's actually been getting it done at the plate at a higher clip than you typically see from him. And I'm starting to believe in this guy Carlos Mendoza. He everybody says, and I've heard Steve Gelbman talk about this. I've seen some writers write about this, that there is an absolute difference in the Mets dugout during games now. That everybody is locked into what's going on, and they're much more energetic. There's a lot more conversation. There's a lot more whooping it up and things like that. We heard Beatty make comments earlier on in the season about the fact that how different the locker room and the clubhouse was, and this guy Mendoza, he's always, the whole thing of him just walking over to people and just saying, "Smile, just
Right.
smile," and like you play
No,
baseball every day for a living.
I
Like,
like
yo,
it.
what are we doing out here? So
No,
I think that especially in baseball, such a mental game. I think it's great to have a Skip that pays attention to details and stays on top of you, but overall has a somewhat, sunny disposition.
yeah, I mean, look, we loved Buck while he was here, but we like what we see from this guy. So far, I mean, it looks great. And they're winning, so we like it. I
Right.
mean,
When we were
they,
0 and 5, we didn't like it.
you're right. When we were over five, we're like, what's up with this guy?
Right.
I mean, so that's what it's all about. But I will say this: when I've watched him in the post game and so forth, I've liked what I've seen. I think he's even-handed in his delivery and what he says and how he responds to the questions. I just think he's got his shit together, and he seems to know the game of baseball. And when they ask him certain questions, he just says, "That was something I just decided. That was, my gut, and I went with it, and it worked this time." But I mean, I like that. I like that in a manager, and he seems to have his shit together. All of us seem to be locked in. I tell you what, a lot more locked in than that Pittsburgh Pirates team. Oh my goodness, they
They
made
had some
more
gas.
boneheaded mistakes. Wow, I mean, stupid place.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
And they're
Bad.
solid, they're a solid team. They had a resurgent year last year. Like I said, they came in, I think, 11-4 to begin the series with the Mets, but we were able to get to them. What was the name of that young kid that they had pitching yesterday? They took out mad early. It was like
Oh, he
Joe
was good.
something.
He was good.
Yo,
Jared something.
yeah.
Jared. I don't know if
He-
that was his first or last name, but his name was Jared. He was
Jared
good.
Jones. Jared
Okay.
Jones. Yo,
Okay.
man, that cat at
He was
one point
good.
when he got taken out, they obviously they had an innings or a pitch limit on him, and he got taken out. He had 50 strikes and 9 balls. I
Yeah.
was
No, he
like,
was insane.
thank
This
you.
guy was
Get him
good.
out of the game.
He was good. But another player on their team who at first, like last year, hey, this guy looked like he could be really good and whatnot, could be a young phenom. See major holes in the swing now. O'Neal Cruz,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the shortstop. He's too big, and he doesn't. His
He's got a
swing is
long
too
swing.
long. Yeah,
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 it's too long.
yeah. It's too easy to strike this guy out, and he seems to play very angry. He looks very angry when he's out. I'm telling you, watch him next time. You'll be like, man, now that's a guy somebody needs to tell to smile. He's very upset at all times.
Diaz looks good. 4 for 4 on save opportunities. He gave up the one home
Sugar
run, but
baby.
luckily we were up
Up
two,
to.
so it didn't ended up costing us. He's looked great. The whole bullpen has looked great. I mean, the
Oh
bullpen
my
is fantastic. Ottavino, his stuff looks better. Drew Smith, locked down. Yeah, man, just across the board, the bullpen has looked great, and we just re-signed that guy Michael Tonkin, who we've had from before, who he's supposed to be pretty solid. So just another arm to add, and we got Senga's throwing the ball again, so he's on the mend. He's coming back. Your boy JD Martinez, he should be back. So,
he's in the whirlpool right now, and you're getting like 17 massages a day. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Dude, man. Yeah. He's somewhere getting some cupping, before he gets sent back up. Come on.
Yeah. Like you said before, the fact that he got hurt swinging a bat is or felt some soreness swinging a bat is kind of wild. But come on, JD. We I think that injecting him into the lineup is just our lineup looks decent right now. It's going to make it totally just a much longer, much better lineup. I'm still the guy who is making me the most nervous, and the guy who it's not just about his numbers, but just the way he looks at the plate. Our guy Squirrel, Jeff McNeil. He doesn't even look like himself sometimes. I watched him take a first pitch strike the other day.
Yeah. Very rare for him.
Come on, man. The guy's missed your first pitch. Let's get up there and hack, baby.
Yeah, no, he's looked a little bit off, but I always feel like Jeff McNeil will come around, and he's Squirrel. I like the fire.
I felt like that all last year. He never came around.
I know, but this year he'll come around. As far as injecting, your man Martinez needs to be injected with some plasma, evidently, because that guy. Come on, man, what is going on? But anyway, so I think listen. DJ Stewart's doing pretty well. Okay, that's a designated hitter.
Yeah,
I don't hate him. He's come alive, man. I like him coming up there. He's hacking away, and give me a little more DJ, a little chubsy-ubsy.
Yeah, a little chubsy-ubsy, but he's got some pop. If you're gonna be chubby, you gotta have some pop. That's my thing.
No
You
doubt.
know what I mean?
No
Like, hey, you gotta have some pop, and
you gotta be able to run a little bit. I mean, at least run. We can't go back to the little minibus. That shit anymore.
Volkswagen. Yeah. No, there was times last year where you and I looked at each other after he tried to got sent on a base hit from second base, and he got and the catcher was like waiting with the ball, waiting for him, looking at him like this, and it's like he's not a professional athlete. This guy.
He must have had Jimmy Neutron coaching him at first base.
Exactly. All right, but yeah, Mets, lots to be looked forward to. Now we go out to California. We play the Dodgers, who everybody's got so much hype, and we will see what happens with them and playing against Jontay. Speaking of gambling, but not alleged gambling that was proven, Jontay Porter, Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, has been banned from the NBA.
Banned.
After it was found that he made an $80,000 online bet that he would underperform as part of a parlay, which would have paid out $1.1 million. So not only is he betting, but unlike Calvin Ridley or even going back to Pete Rose, he is betting on himself to go under, which is wild. Allegedly, he asked out of the game, and that $80,000 bet, the online, sports book that he was using, they looked at it as suspicious and it was frozen. So he never even got paid. He never even got paid that $1.1 million out of that bet. And he's now lost, countless hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in his whatever potential could have been NBA career. We haven't seen this like this in the NBA. We've never really seen anybody in professional sports get caught with betting. I mean, unless we're going back to like the Black Sox. We've never seen anybody get caught betting against themselves or their team. There was a whole lot of other things. He had wagers that went anywhere from $15,000 to $22,000. He totaled $54,094 and ended up making $21,965 from those wagers. Some of them were betting on a Toronto loss. So this is just like unprecedented. Obviously, the league just cannot have this. This is just next level as far as the not only the recklessness of it, but the just lack of the spirit of sport. And clearly, they had to bring down the hammer. What did you think about this story, and what this young man did?
It's a very sad story, obviously, but I mean, beyond all of it, Nick, this guy is a flippin' idiot. I mean, do you really? I mean, seriously, man, you put 80K on yourself to take the under, I guess, on points scored or something, and then you bail out of the game. You don't think they're going to notice that somebody put $80,000 down on who? On some guy to go under, and then you check out of the game?
Right.
I mean, talk about leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. The guy's an absolute tool. And beyond that, like you said, the spirit of competition. He's ruined, and I hate it because the smudge, the stench, does somewhat. I mean, he's got a brother in the league who's a star actually,
Who,
and
when they asked him about it a couple weeks
no
ago,
way,
said he
no
said
way, my brother
absolutely
did.
no way. Yeah.
No way. And he thought that was true.
Mhm.
So, he's got to be saying to his brother, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? I mean, it's so selfish. It's so stupid. And like I said to you, Nick, in this game of sports now, there's so many opportunities for a young, well spoken young man. If you played, especially if you played in the game, you didn't even have to be good. But we talk about and think about all these people who we see nationally. You know how many people are regional people who just have jobs in this industry because they played in the game? And now he's absolutely radioactive. No one will ever touch this guy to be a producer, much less in front of a camera.
No,
Okay?
no chance.
No one, he's not even close to the sport anymore. Like you said, he will have to go out in the real world and do real work now, honestly. You know,
Hmm.
Uh, his
Well,
involvement in sports might be done, Nick. I mean, come
unless
on,
his
man.
unless his brother wants to take care of him.
And do what? And let him have a job at his gymnasium that he owns?
Yeah, right. Maybe he just sends him an allowance.
Oh, sure. I'm talking about him getting a job in the sports industry.
Oh no, that's
He's
that's
a
definitely
variety.
gonna happen.
That's done. He's finished.
And listen, even in the in the real world, I mean, if it's like he's not gonna go out and he's not gonna. I think a lot of people would want to stay away from him, even if they have nothing to do with sports.
As soon as they find out what's going on with him, yeah, he tries to get a job. He tries to get a job selling this, that, or the other. When they do research on him, and it's going to be easy to know who he is. I would imagine. I don't even know who this player is. He's 6'8", right? Okay. So when he when he walks in the door, you're gonna be like, "Wow, you're a basketball player." It's gonna be easy to know who he is. Okay.
I right, and I mean, he doesn't have anything else on his resume up until now in his life as well.
That's right. That's right.
And also, in today's world, nobody gets hired for any type of job that's not working the counter or the register somewhere. I even think that everybody gets Googled, and it's
That's right.
clearly going to be the first thing that comes up when he gets Googled for the rest of his life.
That's
And
right.
he clearly had some sort of gambling addiction or problem, or because I have a hard time believing he was just so careless. And he wasn't doing it for the money. His salary this year was $410,000, and
Well,
next
that's what
year,
I'm saying.
if he actually got signed to the Raptors, he his salary would have exceeded 2 million.
So, what is going on then? You're making $410,000, Nick, which is more than 99% of this country.
Mhm.
Are you just so jealous of looking over at your brother and how his lifestyle that you got to gamble,
I
or,
think
or, or are you like you're saying it's an addiction?
I think it's to me it seems like it's an addiction. And as we know, like
Well,
gambling is something that can be one of the most, it's one of the most serious addictions there is out there.
yeah. Well, sorry. I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that.
Oh, I don't have sympathy for him in the slightest. I have
Put him in
zero.
a straight jacket. Take away his phone. That's it. I don't know, man. I mean, what is going on, man? Oh, I'm so annoyed with this whole story,
Talk
man.
about dropping the bag.
Dropping the bag. So throwing the bag in the fireplace, along with your career and reputation. Dude,
Yeah, it's really hard to believe how you could
mind numbing.
how you could be that careless, that flippant about it, and how you could ruin such a beautiful opportunity that you have to play in the league. It'll be interesting someday to see the 30 for 30 about this, or maybe hey, he'll be looking to probably make some money, so maybe he'll do some sort of tell-all and explain. Like I'm interested to hear the psychology that goes into this. Did he get into it with some mobster type, and he then had to do. I don't know. To me it doesn't. It would be amazing to find out that he was just like, yeah, man, I just I don't know. I thought I was making some gambling. I just didn't think it would be that big of a deal.
Right.
That can't
He
be.
should be that guy. But here's a question that I don't know the answer to. Can he go play in Europe? Will they give him a run? Will they give him a shot over there? If they will, then that's the option, man. Go ahead, make your money over there, man. He'll make $1 million over there. I mean, he's got to be pretty good.
But
he can play over there in Europe.
The sports betting is even more entrenched in Europe than it is here.
Right, but I don't know what the rules are over there.
I don't know about rules, but I think it's just about like, if you're a European team, like, can you take this guy bet against his own team? That's the thing. I don't care who you are. Himself, and he bet against, but he also bet for the team to lose as well. So I don't think that anybody, I don't see how anybody who does anything that has to do with sports, like, dog, you can't coach my kids in sports if you did that shit.
You better get your own team. You're looking at the line and you're like, oh, no. We ain't covering that.
And I'm going to do my best to make sure that we're not. And I want to know what kind of sports book this was, because the popular online sports book that are out right now, I mean, I'm not going to name any of them until they start sponsoring us. But typically when you go and you look at the different player props, the guy who's on a two-way contract he's not even listed typically. You know what I mean? So like, this is a pretty extensive book that it was even listed, and this guy, betting against himself, betting against his team, it's a literal black eye, and he will never, ever be able to get away from it. It will never heal, and he will always be the ultimate heel, honestly. And it's just a really, 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 like you said, it's sad. It's sad.
Very sad. What are you
gonna do? UFC 300 this past week, you and I got to watch that together, and it definitely lived up to the hype. The card was one that was star-studded, champions, former champions, all up and down, even in the prelims. And though we saw a lot of great fights, the ultimate moment in the entire thing was Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, for the BMF title. Holloway is ahead. Actually, there was one judge who had it 2-2 at that point, but that judge, I don't know what he was doing. Wow. Yeah, there was one judge who had it 2-2. But on all the other cards, he was ahead 3-1. 10 seconds left, has clearly won the fight. Gaethje is all battered and bloodied, had been stumbled a couple times. Holloway had never really taken much damage, but he decides with 10 seconds left to step to the middle of the ring, point to the middle ring, and say, let's go. And they get to the middle of the ring and start slugging it out. They're throwing back and forth. Holloway ducks down, gives a little quick light two-piece to the body, soften him up a little bit, and comes with the overhand right, boom, right there on the cheek, underneath the eye. Gaethje falls face forward onto his forehead. Holloway steps over him, flexes and screams, and wins the fight with a walk-off KO with 1 second left. It was awesome. We were both screaming. I was standing up. Oh, couldn't believe it. And I mean, I was buzzing for like hours afterwards. Like I would just buzzing from that and would just keep thinking about it like, damn, yo. And as time has gone on, I've heard, big names, Joe Rogan, Brendan Schaub, say it's the greatest knockout in UFC or even maybe combat sports history. So I gave you a little homework because I want to ask you, is it the greatest KO in UFC history? I think the other nominations for that are Masvidal Askren with the knee 5 seconds in that little almost like a little juke to get him leaning one way. There was a lot of bad blood in that fight. He hits him with the flying knee, then gives him 2 more hard shots after he's already on the ground. And then even after the ref has stepped in and is trying to revive him, he gets down and taunts him. Those guys hated each other. There was a lot of crazy shit said leading up to that fight. Then you got McGregor versus Jose Aldo, short check hook. McGregor was talking all the shit leading up to it. It really got to Aldo. Aldo got in front of his skis a little bit there, got a little bit too aggressive, wanted to prove something to this guy. And what's really cool was after that, we see Conor in the pre-fight call it. He calls a shot. He says that this is what's going to happen. He's going to over pursue. He's going to come and I'm going to hit him with the short little check left hook. And then Aldo on the other side, and this is a fight that I saw live a long time. This is back in the WEC on Spike TV back in the day. And this is back when Sarah and I first met. Shows you how long it was, because I'm pretty sure I watched it with her in Grandpa's apartment in Brooklyn. And he, against Cub Swanson, who Cub Swanson is not, I don't know if he's quite a Hall of Famer, but he is a veteran. He's a guy who's been in the UFC. He's won a lot of big fights. Don't think he's ever became a champion in the UFC, but he's a legitimate veteran, very good fighter. And during the fight, at that time, Jose Aldo was the baddest man, in the planet, arguably. And the WEC featherweight division between him, Mike Brown, Uriah Faber, it was stacked. It was one of the big reasons that they merged, that the UFC purchased the WEC, is because they had such good talent in that particular division. And during the fight, he hits Cub Swanson with what looks like a knee, and he goes down, and the fight's over. Now, when they go back and they show it in replay, you realize that he jumped up in the air and hit him with 2 knees. He hit him with each knee. He ends up with a cut over one eye, a cut under the next eye. And Cub Swanson, who, like we said, is a very tough guy, he didn't get put to sleep with those 2 knees. He went to the ground and was just like, I just don't want this to go on anymore. I want this to stop. So that's another all-time. I think those are the ones in the conversation. A lot of ones. The fact that Anderson Silva's not on this list is crazy. The fact that the knockout that we just saw with like Leon Edwards, where he's losing the fight and he hits Kamaru Usman with the perfect high kick to win the championship. The fact that that's an honorable mention and not in this list is crazy as well. But what do you think? Gave you a little homework so you could do a little film study on those 3. Which one? Those 3? Max Holloway, what's the greatest KO in UFC history?
I looked at those 3. I thought about a lot of other fights we've seen. I still got to go with, and this may be recency bias, but I still got to go with this guy, Max Holloway, from this weekend. The fact that he did that at the end of a fight, and when he didn't have to, okay, he was winning, okay, and he knew it. Everybody in the arena knew it. He was winning that fight, but he did that, and this other guy took the bait, and they were swinging. And, listen, he got caught with a couple shots himself. Okay. He wasn't, just like this other guy wasn't like punch drunk and just like a mess. This guy, Max Holloway, stood in there and he flattened this guy. He flattened this guy. And that to me was one of the most amazing finishes I've ever seen in sport. Now, I've seen some boxing that I can think of that ended in the final round. I can't remember the fighters, but ended in the final round with somebody needing a knockout to win. I've absolutely seen some fights like that in boxing. But just the nature of the game, let's face it, the UFC is a little more exciting in a lot of ways. Not a little more exciting, a lot more exciting, and a lot more punches being landed. It's a rawer sport. And I hate to admit it with my long relationship and love of boxing, but it is. It's a rawer, if that's a word, sport. And it's, this was it, man. That was the knockout, dude. I don't see any other knockout beating that one.
Like you said, 1 second left, everything on the line, clearly winning the fight, the whole let's go, bring you right here to the middle. And the other thing is, this was for the bad motherfucker belt. And that's the most bad motherfucker thing you can do, is that right there.
But whoa. Think about this, Nick. Him saying, let's go right here, right now. Imagine if he did that and he got knocked out.
Right.
That would also be the most amazing knockout.
Yeah.
And he took that risk.
Yeah. And, Max Holloway notoriously has a fantastic chin. I mean, even the fights he loses because he gets outpointed. Nobody puts him away. And the thing about it is Gaethje is known as being a heavy-handed dude. So you're putting yourself right there in the lion's
Right.
den with this guy who has not been able to do anything with you since at the end of that first round, he landed that flying back kick and he kicked Gaethje in his nose, smashed up his nose, and you saw immediately that that was a problem, and it continued to be a problem for him for the rest of the fight. I thought that was, that whole fight goes different if he doesn't hit him with that shot. And he can continue to land those spinning back kicks throughout the fight. But that first one to the nose, I mean, and Gaethje is the type of guy who he's a Terminator. He just keeps coming forward. He just keeps coming forward. He keeps coming forward, and nothing stops him. The way that he immediately reacted to that, it was like, oh, that really fucked him up. And then his nose obviously was clearly broken. He was having problem breathing. He kept touching it. He kept messing with it. And, Holloway just continued to piece him up. Holloway stayed on the outside. He used his range. And a lot of people have said he's the greatest boxer in the history of the UFC. And we saw fantastic hands in that fight. And he's one of the real good guys in the fight game. He's a fantastic interview. I've seen him on a couple long form 2-3 hour podcasts. He's a great interview. He's mad cool. He's mad funny. He does a lot with streaming and playing video games, and supposedly he makes a good amount of money on the side doing that. He's definitely got a future in any sort of commentating or whatever, or being an analyst if he wants to be. And I thought it was just great for this guy who, he was at the top of the game. He was the champ. Volkanovski comes. Volkanovski beats him in their first fight, which I thought was close. I think it could have easily went Max Holloway's way. Second fight gets, Volkanovski once again wins by decision. The second fight, I think it's clear, and I've rewatched it, and I've heard a lot of people say this. They thought that Max Holloway won that fight 3-2. And then the third fight, Volkanovski did win the fight for sure. And then after that, Max Holloway has some fights here and there, but he seems like he's on the downturn. Like he's not ever going to get to that championship level again. Now he can call whatever he wants. Now it's like, Dana, give me whatever I want, and he's going to get it. He deserves to get it. It's not just that he won the fight the way that he did at the end. He looked great in the fight. He looked great throughout the fight. And shout to Poirier, who he was in line for a possible title shot and did not have to take this fight and decided to say, fuck it, let's go ahead. I'm not Poirier. I'm sorry, Gaethje. And so, shout to him for doing that. I think that's awesome that he did that. And it just shows that he's a bad motherfucker too. And now Max Holloway gets to do whatever he wants. He got a $600,000 bonus for fight of the night and for knockout of the night. Oh man, I'm just so happy for that guy. What an awesome moment. One of those things that you're so happy you saw live, because that's one of those things that you watch the replay and it's cool, but you have to see that whole story play out to be able to really understand and enjoy in that moment for everything that it was. And like you and I said to each other that night, if somebody wrote that as a movie, when it got to the writer's room, they'd be like, I mean, okay, all right, this is a bit too much. This is too much. This is a bit too campy. This is a bit too just like, oh, perfect story. We gotta, let's just have him win the fight. Let's not necessarily have him point to the front of the ring and then knock him out with 1 second left. It's the shit that dreams are made of. It was awesome to see. Congratulations, Max Holloway.
Absolutely. Got to give Holloway all the credit. Also, too, like you said, I want to shout out Gaethje, because after that kick in the nose in the first round, for him to stick it out the way he did and fight as hard as he did for the rest of that fight until 1 second left, frankly, a lot of credit is due to him. So I thought that was a pretty good job by him.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. We try to stay as current as possible. So episodes will be dropping depending on the Knicks schedule in the playoffs, whatever days they're not on, and it makes the most sense. Gotta go ahead and mold it around our Knicks right now. You can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.